We are back and here we go. Welcome to the Creating Health and Wealth for Retirement podcast. His name is Rick Collins, and he's going to help you create wealth for retirement.
And this is Mark Delaney. He's going to help you create health so you can enjoy your retirement with the wealth I help
And,
you create.
and together, we want to compel you to take action to create health and wealth for retirement. And this episode, we're going to discuss, Rick, the downside to not creating health and wealth for retirement because it's a miserable life.
Yeah, Mark, just from the financial side, less than 50% of people who are hitting retirement age have any savings whatsoever. So they're going to be working until they die. That's no way to prepare for what should be your golden years.
And assuming half the population actually lives to retirement, most of those people will live their lives with some sort of pain, consistent and frequent medical visits, and all sorts of other things that will not allow you to truly have a great retirement. If you cannot walk without pain, it is almost impossible to enjoy an activity when every step hurts.
Yeah, Mark, I learned that the hard way. I didn't take real good care of my body and was overweight and didn't stretch and strengthen my core. I started having back problems at age 50, and now I'm facing my fourth back surgery in 5 years because I can't walk into a grocery store and walk back out without being in pain. And I could have avoided that had I taken some steps along the way.
And so in this episode, we want to talk to the people, Rick, about what they can start doing today so that they can have a body and a bank account that allows them to truly enjoy retirement. They've worked, Rick, their whole lives. Why
And
not
Mark, are
enjoy
you talking
life
about
afterwards?
massive changes? Are you talking about massive changes, people overhauling their entire life?
I'm talking about more of an overhaul of how they see their future is probably more needed than an overhaul of how they live day to day. I think the idea that today is all I have is why so many people end up broke and unhealthy. The
So maybe
meals,
changing your mindset about some things and getting a little education, you can see how to make some small changes that add up over time. Maybe that works easier for some people.
I think it does. I think it works easier for almost everybody except the elite athletes and the billionaires out there. Those guys can snap their finger and change everything. But us common folk, we probably need to do a little bit more small changes, create large results over the course of time. And
It's
as you
just
know,
like compound interest works in the financial world. Little bit of changes over time add up and multiply exponentially. Walking, exercising, putting money away in a bank account, it works the same. If you start building it along the way, it's a whole lot easier to get to a massive result at the end instead of waiting till it's too late.
so I created something called the Power of 200. And it's very, very interesting in how it helps people to improve their lives. So as I give each one, Rick, you give a comment and tell people what they can, how it can work. And one of them applies specifically to your area. And I really want you to talk about that. But the Power of 200 starts with the saying that to create health, invest 200 calories a day as opposed to just eating or spit or whatever. Invest 200 calories a day. And that means if you want to change the shape of your body, you may be taking a different type of calorie and you exercise. It means if you want to lose weight, you take in 200 less calories a day. It means if you want to gain weight, you take in 200 more calories. But it means that instead of just eating whatever's in front of you, you create a plan to kind of invest those calories in the goal that you want. What are your thoughts on that, Rick, real quick?
Well, first of all, I think it's important if you're going to manage your 200 calories, you got to know how much you're eating. So you have to know where you're at and what you're spending. Same goes with money. People would be amazed if, starting putting away $200 a month, what that can
So
do
we're gonna get
over
to the $200 a month. We're gonna get there. Right now, focus on calories, Rick. Okay, I know
Okay, I'll
you're a
put it
money
on
man.
calories.
I know you want money, but investing 200 calories in yourself every day. So you've got a unit of time and a 200 unit of measure. So
Yep.
calories per day. Think that way. That's a change anybody who's serious can make. Make sense?
Yeah, you could stop drinking a soda a day. That's probably 200 calories. You could, eat some fruit instead of a candy bar. That's probably 200 calories different. Over, in the span of a day, that might not seem like a lot, but a span of a month, that's 6,000 calories. That's at least 2 pounds just by making one small change.
I agree. And just I think, I'm not sure, but 200 times 30 is 600. I'm not sure, but I think that's true. I
200,
don't think it's
no,
6,000.
there's a zero. That's 6,000.
Well, this is why we're not math experts, I guess. Why?
200 times 2 is 400. So 200 times 20 is 4,000. 200 times 30 is 6,000.
All right. Well, the formula works. 200 calories a day will change your body dramatically over the course of time. Secondly, is 200 minutes invested in you. And so I want you to really 200 minutes a week. So the first one was 200 calories a day. Now we're talking about 200 minutes a week invested in ourselves. So whether somebody wants to learn finances, or what you talk about what they might want to learn, or whether they want to learn and start exercising or build a marketing skill to make more money, if we stop watching television for what amounts to a little over 3 hours and 20 minutes a week and invested it in ourselves, in our ability to improve ourselves over the course of time, that's going to create a massive change. Thoughts on that, Rick?
Yeah, you could definitely make huge improvements if you just put the phone down for a little bit a day. You could develop a new skill set, learn a new hobby, spend that time exercising, or learn how to pray
Learning about
better.
money. How about learning
Learn
about
about money.
money?
You could always learn
Learn
about
how
money.
money works.
But a 30-minute walk, 4 or 5 times a week will do massive things. That's right at your 200 minutes. So yeah, it's making those choices about how you spend your time really can make a huge impact on your life.
Correct. And so if you do the 200 calories, you'll improve your body. If you do 100 minutes, you'll improve your skills, or you'll do something, you'll invest in yourself in some way. And I don't know if you, like, I think it's physically impossible to count the number of television, entertainment channels, and streaming services available to us today. And those exist because people are literally sitting still watching other people make money. In fact, they make money because we sit there and watch them. And if you invested the 200 minutes of that time in yourself, it's amazing what you can accomplish over the course of a year. So that's the first one. We have calories per day. We have minutes per week. Now, this is your area, Rick. $200 per month. Instead of
Okay,
spending
yeah,
it,
my area. Okay,
invest
if
it.
we're spending on
So
that two hundred
I'll let you
dollar
speak
thing,
to that.
the $200 thing really, people generally blow about $27 a day, whether it's fast food, Starbucks. Um, and they don't see where it goes, but it's disappeared by the end of the year, by the end of the day, by the end of the week. You've wasted couple $100. But $200 a month over time, especially if you put it in early and start. For example, I tell my new parents, hey, put $200 a month away for your kid. They'll retire a millionaire when they're 65, and you pay for college for free. But that $200 a month is something most people can do if they put their mind to it and they're aware of how they spend their money. I'm not asking people to sacrifice, but it's making small changes really adds up. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it is some sacrifice. I think that there's a saying I have, 10 minutes versus a lifetime. And now we're talking 200 units of things versus a lifetime. And the compounding effect of the exercise, of the investing in yourself, time in yourself, and of the money is how you create health and wealth for retirement. And I think that it's a huge deal for people to say, and I'll be honest with you, you mentioned it. You want to be a millionaire. Everybody thinks they're going to come up with this great idea, this great marketing idea, or they're going to work hard. But the best way is to save 10% of your income over the course of your working life, right? And that's the simplest way to become a millionaire.
10%'s a really good baseline for somebody to build a financial future that they'll enjoy and not have to worry about money for the rest of their lives. And if you start
Correct.
early, you never miss it. But if you start late, you won't get nearly as much bang for your buck. But hey, start now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best day is today.
Correct. And we focus on helping people 50 plus. That doesn't mean it's too late because you're 50 and you didn't start when you were 20. I mean, we'd never do anything if we just thought about what we should have done last week or last year. So 200 calories a day, 200 minutes a week, $200 a month. And finally, we don't, this is Creating Health and Wealth podcast, but we really, really want people to understand that going through retirement alone also sucks. So 200 acts of love a year to the people you love. That's my final 200. 200 acts of love to the people you love every year. That will
Well, I'm
create
going
a
to have
great.
to up my game. I haven't been hitting my 200. I'm going to have to bring my A game from now on.
I think we all do. I think that we expect that once someone loves us, they're going to love us forever. But if we don't show them acts of love, and an act of love is not saying I love you. An act of love is actually doing something that they feel your love for them. And so,
And it's
Rick, you
really
being a
important to speak their love language. What's important to me may not even matter to my wife, and what matters to my wife might not be important to me. So it's really speaking that love language, whether it's acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch. It's connecting on a level that is meaningful to the person you're trying to have a relationship with.
exactly like, so I'll just say this, as a man, if I were married, I'd 200 acts of 200 sexual acts would be a lot of love I'm giving, but it's not going to be received the same way by the woman I'm doing that with. So don't think in either case that necessarily sex or something that you enjoy doing with that person is an act of love. An act of love for, if I were married to a woman, I imagine it would be more going for a walk in the park and talking about what she's interested in, listening to her as she talks about her day, as opposed to trying to solve her problem, but just being willing to listen. Small gifts. I know there's a book called The Five Love Languages that you referenced earlier, but knowing your partners, your children's, someday your grandchildren's, your good friends, knowing their love language, and this isn't necessarily romantic love, obviously, but you'd be amazed. Like, there are people out there who are absolute, for lack of a better term, they mess up a lot. And when you mess up with someone who you don't show love when you're not messing up, it makes it hard for them to love you back. And when you retire, you don't get to spend less time together. You actually get to spend more time together. And so those love languages really come in handy. Building up that bank. So you have Rick, you do something called banking for yourself, right?
Yep.
And that bank actually is where people store their money. And the better they do, the same thing is true. We all have a bank of love within us. And the more we love on people, the more we feel that love for other people. And when they mess up, when we mess up, I should say, if we have that storage in the bank, they are way more forgiving.
Yeah, definitely. We have our love bank, as you call it. That's a good analogy. I like that. I try to score brownie points with my wife every day by doing something sweet, thoughtful, because I know I'm going to screw up. I'm going to be forgetful. I'm going to lose my temper. I'm going to, do something to irritate her. And if I'm at a zero balance, suddenly I'm overdrawn, then it's a whole lot of different story of how we go forward after I screw up. Because, guys screw up. We do that. And
Unlike women who are
women
totally
remember
perfect, ladies,
everything too.
you're perfect, and they're perfect. They never mess up. It's only us who ever messes up. But so the bottom line, though, and what we want to talk about with people, and you can see it's not just about health and wealth, but investing in yourself. 200 calories a day. Every one of us can do that. We can shift 200 calories around to create the health that we want. 200 minutes investing in ourselves. We can get, over the course of time, we can get good at anything if we invest in learning it, be it exercise, be it finances, be it whatever. $200 a month put away for our retirement, invested wisely. That builds over time. Even if you're 51 and you retire at 67, that's 16 years of $200 a month. That alone is going to give you a nest egg. Um, but if you do it from 41 or 31, and then finally, 200 acts of love, invest in the people you love. Don't expect they're going to love, because they loved you today, they're going to love you 10 years from now. So,
Yeah, and we have these moments of awakening of, hey, it's too late for me. I've screwed up. I haven't saved enough. I haven't exercised enough. I haven't shown my spouse enough acts of kindness and love. Starting today is the key to a better tomorrow. It's never too late to begin doing the small things that will make a difference.
correct. And just one last thing about this 200 a day is that if you cannot literally save $200 a month, save 50. Save something, because once you start, it becomes easier to do it. If you can't start at 200, start with 50, start with 25, and build it up every month, and you won't even miss it. The same thing is true with 200 minutes. You're busy, you may be working two jobs right now. Invest 20 minutes a day in yourself, improve yourself, and your income will go up. And the same thing is true with the now the only one that I defer that from is acts of love. There is no reason you don't have time to show your children, your significant other, maybe your parents if they're still around, just one little act, one phone call, one something to say, hey, just want you to know I love you today and I hope you can feel that. That doesn't take any time. No excuses for the 200 acts of love over the course of a year. The others, if you need to start at 50 or 100, we get it. But the key component of every journey is the first step. Wouldn't you say, Rick?
Yeah, the first step is, hey, admitting I've got a problem. I'm not where I want to be. And then find out where you really are in your health, wealth, relationship journey. Then come up with a plan to take action to correct those deficiencies. And we're not talking wholesale changes. It's little things like 200 minutes, $200, 200 acts of service that almost anybody could start if they just knew they needed to. And that's kind of the point
Well,
of this podcast of, hey, get started today. It's not too late.
yeah, and I want to push back on what you just said. This is not about need. People do not invest out of need. They
That's
they
true.
may actually fight for their life out of need, which is what we're helping them to avoid with this plan. I think the key component of this is this is not about need. We don't want people to need in retirement. We want people to work their way out of need so that they have what they want, what they need, and they're focusing in on what they want now. And I think that's a key component that people miss when we talk about the future. We all
Yeah,
have needs.
designing a life and a lifestyle that is worth all the hard work to get to really makes a difference. So, yeah, we're not talking about need and covering the basics. We're talking about how do you want the rest of your life to look? And you can design that life to be what you want, not what you think you're relegated to or what you're destined to be, because each one of us has the unlimited potential for change, improvement, growth. So I encourage everybody to be more, do more, have more, suck less by
Mhm.
focusing on what you want, not what you need. You're right.
So now I want to switch it to what happens when people don't prepare either their health or their wealth and even their love for retirement. And they end up living what I could best describe as a life of dependency. Like I remember way back, now I'm really, really old. So in the 1970s, there was a bank in New York City called the Dime Savings Bank. And there was this old gentleman who was walking around New York City. He put a quarter in one of those things that you look at telescope and he says, when I was younger, I had the money, but I didn't have time to do anything. Now I'm retired. I've got all the time in the world, but I've got no money. That is a miserable life. We work, we don't have time, and then we retire, we have time, but we have no money. Rick, one of the things that you specialize in is helping people have money for retirement. So I'm sure you have stories of people who wish they'd done better with their money, but they didn't.
Wow, I know people. I talk to people almost every day that aren't where they thought they would be. They had dreams and goals, and somewhere along the way they gave up, got sidetracked, had a loss, went through a divorce, got sued, whatever, and now they're looking, instead of 65 or enjoying retirement, they're looking to have to work to 75 or die at their desk because they can't live on Social Security alone. They've got too many bills to pay to be able to afford to live on Social Security or whatever retirement they have managed to save. So they are literally feeling hopeless and helpless to change their outcome. And it doesn't have to be that way.
And it's really a shame because the government. So I have this theory, and no government will admit to it, but and I may say this at every episode of the podcast, Rick. Your government wants you dependent on them, right? They created Social Security so that you would be dependent on it. Not everybody. Those of us we want to help. We don't want them dependent on Social Security. We want Social Security to be their spending money. We want them to build wealth so they don't need Social Security. But my dad passed away in 2023, and my mom thought she was getting his Social Security. But Social Security laws say doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. And there's so many rules in Social Security that prevent you from creating wealth or enjoying all the money they force you to pay in, and then they determine how much you should get back. And it really is the biggest ripoff for American people ever. And we're
It is a
still paying into
glorified
it.
Ponzi scheme, but yes, it is. It is not paying out what I thought it would. When I looked at my forecast, I'm like, I put in way more than I'm going to get unless I live to 100, and I probably won't because I didn't take care of
Yeah.
myself along the way.
And guess how much you get if you don't live to retirement?
Zero.
Zero. That's right. But we don't want to just trash Social Security, but it's a fact of life. So when we talk about people who are unhealthy at retirement, we talk about people, I talk about you watch people walk. I challenge every one of you who hear my voice, watch people who are over 50 and sometimes over 60, watch them walk or watch somebody push them in a wheelchair. And imagine trying to enjoy retirement after working your whole life and now you can't walk or it hurts. Same thing is true when you can't go anywhere. Everyone thinks they're going to travel when they retire, but you can't travel if you don't have any money.
Real quick, I want to add a little story here. When I started having my back problems, I would still try to go and do things. I would go to the grocery store, and it was hurting so bad that I had to get on the electric cart. And while those things may sound like they'd be helpful, I felt so bad about myself because I was in an electric cart. I could not walk. And plus, they're slow. They're no fun to drive either. And going down the aisles, you can't reach up and get things off the top shelf. So, yeah, nobody wants to have to use an electric cart to get around because they can't walk anymore. It's terrible. And I'm glad I was able to at least get off the cart and walk again. But it breaks my heart for people who are stuck like that and then have to sacrifice their dreams and how they want to live their life and their lifestyles because of physical ailments that may
Yeah,
or
we
may
could
not
talk
be
about
preventable, but definitely a little prevention goes a long way.
we could talk about this topic forever, and we should touch on it every week. But one of the areas that I noticed that I'm a night owl more so than a morning person, so I'm up and I watch sports a lot. So, every night during a 1 hour Sports Center summary of what happened in sports that day, I'll see four, maybe five different commercials for ED meds, and they make it sound so simple. Now, I understand. No woman wants to sleep with me. I get that. But if I ever find one who does, I don't want to have
Mark,
to
you're
pop a
a
pill.
handsome man in good shape. There's
Yep,
that
I
woman
got a
out there
face made for
somewhere.
I got a face made for podcasting. I get it. I get it. The bottom line, the point I'm making though is that the last thing that I ever want is to need a supplement to perform for my lady when I find that lady who's willing to do that with me. And yet it's so widely promoted that along with other prescription drugs that we believe we can neglect our bodies and we'll be okay because there's a pill for that. There is no pill that matches the way God made our bodies to be. If we blow our bodies, there's no pill that's going to bring it back to normal without other side effects. And so that's why health is so important for retirement.
And I would tell you, the health you have in your retirement is directly related to the amount of money you have in the bank. If you're on Medicare and depending on Social Security, and you need a drug that's not covered by the Medicare formulary, you go without or you take something else that may or may not be as effective. So having that wealth security blanket allows you to make better choices with your health. You go to the trainer for exercise instead of maybe getting off the couch because you can't afford to go to the gym. So it's all about trade-offs and having choices about how you preserve your health. Building that safety cushion, having that banking policy, having that long-term care benefits that'll kick in if you need help. The dollars in the bank, while you can't buy happiness, you can certainly make better choices with how you live your life on a daily basis, and those choices make a difference.
Yeah, and I think just as we bring this episode close to an end, I really think it's just, the power of 200 is a balanced way that anybody can get started on creating the future that they want. I think understanding one of the areas of burden of not creating health and wealth for retirement that we didn't talk about that I want to speak to really quickly is the idea that you're either going to be, if you don't have health and you don't have any wealth, you are going to be dependent on something or someone else for it, or you're going to be a burden to those you love. Dependency usually is going to be on the government, whether it's your state, whether it's the federal government, but that dependency means they literally own you. You literally volunteer to become a slave. And
Yep.
or you're going to burden your children. If you're 70, you probably have a 40-year-old child, right? Your 40-year-old child is trying to get their lives together, but they have to take care of you. I meet so many people who have to stop taking care of their own children because they have to take care of their parents. So when the last thing we want to talk about briefly today, Rick, is when people don't take care of their money and their bodies, they end up depending on someone else to do it, or they burden someone else and compel them to do it. And I just think that's a shame.
Yeah, in my area in Houston, Texas, I see a lot of houses that are built with grandmother or mother-in-law suites. So people are having to move their relatives into their house because they 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 can't stay on their own anymore, or they can't afford to stay on their own. We talked about the $200, 200 minutes, 200 hours. All that takes discipline. There's the pain of discipline of doing that, or the pain of regret of not doing that and then winding up depending on somebody else, or destitute, or in a Medicare or Medicaid nursing home. So there's the pain of discipline or pain of regret. I will guarantee you the pain of regret is a much bigger cost to pay for somebody who could have made better choices along the way, and a little discipline goes a long way.
Yeah. And so one of the things that ties in together health and wealth is if you've got no money and you've got poor health, you're going to be dependent either on the people you love, but worse than the people you love is dependent on a Medicaid nursing home or a nursing home because people who make minimum wage, who hate their jobs, who don't want to change your diapers, you're going to sit with soiled clothes on until they feel like they want to change you. And there are a few people in that profession who really care about the people they work with. But most people are doing it because it's the only way they can make money. And I'm telling you, it's got to be a miserable life. It's got to be a miserable life. You must take care of you because nobody else will do it as well as you will.
Definitely take care of yourself today. Start now. I don't care how bad it is, you can make it better. And whatever improvements you make in your health and wealth today, over time, will have a lasting impact on the rest of your life. Not just so I want everybody to know that the rest of your life can be the best of your life if you start taking some action today.
Yeah. So, Rick, as we close down, is there a way that you would like to offer your help to people who might be listening to this podcast episode?
Yeah, I have a couple of landing pages. One, I focus on getting people out of debt. It's getmydebtfreedate.com. We do an evaluation of where you are financially, come up with a plan to get you out of debt as quickly as possible so you can start putting money away for retirement. That's the best way to reach me is getmydebtfreedate.com. And we'll
Is
have a
that get?
conversation.
That was
Yep.
get my
Get my
debt
debt
free.
free date.
All right. And for me, I developed this thing called In 88 Seconds a Day, and it's a training course. And basically speaking, in 88 seconds a day, I will help you implement the power of 200. I will help you implement the changes you want to make to all of your life. It's a course. I give you the first month and with a guarantee. If you take the first month, it's $28 a month right now. You take that first month. If you can say, Mark, this isn't helping me change, I'll give you your money back. But if you have 88 seconds a day to invest in you, I'd like you to visit school.com/THMC Club. THMC Club. And you'll learn a little bit more. You'll see some videos about the concept. But the bottom line is, we want to help you get started. Rick wants to help you create wealth, and I want to help you create health. So, Rick, any last words as we close out this second episode of the podcast?
You are full of potential and you can make changes today that your future self will thank you for. But you got to get started.
Yeah, I want you to building on that, I want you to imagine that your 10-year self from now is looking back at you and saying, why the heck didn't you do something? Or, man, I'm so glad you did it. And it all starts with today. And so 200 calories a day invested, 200 minutes invested, 20 minutes a week invested in yourself, $200 a month given to someone who can invest it for your future, and 200 acts of love invested in somebody else that you want to love you for the rest of your lives together. Rick, say goodbye.
Y'all have a great day. I care about you and love you. God loves you. Have a good day.
Hey, and I say, I can't wait to see what we create together over the course of time.